Good morning to everyone. I'd like to speak about family and ask you what you think of and what you sort of envision or see in your mind when I say the word family to you. Is it people that support you, that are good to you, that check in on you every so often to make sure you're okay? Do they love and support you, help you? Or are you one like me where family is a triggering word? Now, none of us has a perfect life, and I'm not complaining. We all have our own problems. There are always people better than us. There are always people worse off than us. That's the way life turns around. But no, I didn't have a pleasant childhood. My sister is quite a few years older than me, and when I was about 7, she left to get married. So I was then, just me and my parents. Now, I'd always got on fairly well with my mum. She wasn't a typically easy person to get on with, but who is? We all have faults in different ways. Now, I could cope with that, but I don't think another family member could. And I think she actually quite disliked my mother, to be honest with you. There was often real anger in her voice when she spoke about her. The two didn't get on. So I was in the middle of this, and one would be moaning at me to the other about me. Then as I grew up, and when I got married, which was quite late in life, I was around 42, I actually married a man that I met on holiday, a Tunisian. Now I'm waiting for people to go click, click, click with their tongues and say, what did you expect? Now, have you never, ever made a mistake? Are you totally perfect? This can happen. Coercive behaviour can happen to anybody, young, old, rich, tall, fat, whatever. Clever. Because coercive behaviour is control of your mind. And when it happens, you don't really realise it. And when you have a family situation which is quite manipulative, you fall into the same mistake. And you want to help and care for that person, which I brought to the UK. A bit like a package. I'm not particularly proud of that. And I'm not the only woman that's been through that. So don't start yelling at me at the screen. It happens a lot. Now, that didn't work out because the aforesaid person thought that they would be able to control and manipulate me too, but they couldn't. Because when push comes to shove, if you back me into a corner, I will not do what you say or tell me. So this was happening in the family situation, particularly with the sister. Always telling me what to do, what tablets to take, what not to take, do this, do that. And you think, but you don't really even like me. You're not even interested in me, She got married when I was 7 and, sometimes she never even phoned my mum or anything for weeks. She was just quite happy, I think, that I was there as an idiot looking after my mother. Now, so again, when the marriage split up, we divorced, I managed to stay in the social accommodation. I won't go into why I got social accommodation because that's quite a sad or upsetting story, and I'm not going to go into that with people. It's my business. Not even the relative knows about this, and not even my mother knew about this, so that's my business. So again, we had this thing, I was going to work, it was very difficult. I got depressed because of the situation I was in and poor accommodation as well. And so, of course, she didn't like it. Some things were said to my mother about me that were particularly unpleasant, that we went to say, and what my mother should do with me or where she should put me. But I did not need that, and I managed on my own. It was difficult. I did my own divorce here in the UK. You don't have to trot off to Tunisia and spend lots of money like she was telling me. You can do it in the UK. So that went through. I didn't have terribly good health before this. I was now about 48. So life went on. I had quite a few things wrong with me. Eventually, my employer dismissed me and they hounded me. I've been there around 35 years. And they actually made me feel suicidal the way they treated me. So anyway, of course, my sister had children, grandchildren. I'm sure lots of things were said to her children about me, and lots of things were laughed about me. And, you know, she would gossip about me to other people and daughter-in-laws, whereas I didn't have that. It was just me and my mum. And when we used to go somewhere, if we went for a family event, I was put to sit with my mother, and she would sit with her husband and her children and grandchildren. So it was like, you are your mother's keeper. And this is when I've been married and divorced. So unfortunately, around this time as I lost my job in around 2014 for sickness, but as I say, they hounded me out, and it ended up to be one of the best things ever that they got rid of me, because my life just got better, shall I say. Well, I decided I would then help with looking after my mother, who was elderly, who had to get a stair lift installed. I did all of that. Got power of attorney. I got a power where you can deal with their benefits, their bills, etc. It was down to me that my mother wanted me to do. So my sister by this time had been retired for some time. She was semi-retired, and then eventually she left her job. She probably worked, I think, to about 64. I'm nearly 67, and I haven't worked since the age of 54 and haven't been able to, I'm afraid, and just supported myself. So this went on, and then it got difficult, and she kept wanting to put my mother in a home and things like that, and she didn't want to go, as most elderly people don't. And then in the end, she had a big fall, ended up in hospital. They wouldn't let her home without carers. So she also had carers coming in the morning and eventually the evening. So I'm trotting back there, on 2 buses to get there. Didn't have a car, couldn't drive, doing that. Phoning her each day, checking in on her. My sister was doing bits as well. And then, of course, we got to the stage where she had to go into a home, which I don't think anybody wants to put their parents into a home, but sometimes you have to. And my health wasn't good enough to look after her. I did think of trying to become a carer for her on benefits. I tried it for 5 days and I just could not do it. It would mean me going to live with her, and I thought, I'm sorry, I cannot give up my life at the age of probably about 56 then for my mother. Plus, around this time, I met somebody else. I met a Scottish guy, and we're getting married in a couple of weeks, or just under. Good there for me. And I think they thought that would never happen. John had lived on his own quite a lot. And so I had things to myself, we must be very difficult if he's lived on his own a long time. And you think, what's it got to do with you? So I didn't say anything. And she wanted a picture of him, so she was talking about it with one of my, her daughter-in-laws, and she said, he'd be better if he smiled at the camera. And you think, and they were laughing, and you think, that's a bit unkind, isn't it? If he doesn't like having his photo taken, why do you have to tell me what to tell him to do? So I didn't. And as I say, this went on, and then my mother died and things, and she didn't like it because I was moving away to live with John here. Oh, you're going to go away and I'll have to look after Mum's grave and blah, blah, blah. I mean, she was very unkind to me at times. And I just let it go. If she started it now, I wouldn't. And I would question, why are you saying that? What do you mean? Why do you think you can say that to me? What gives you the right to judge me? Which was going on all the time. So I'm afraid I would say with family, it's how family treats you. If you don't feel that that person is treating you as a family member or a sibling or whatever it is, then really you're not bound to them. Maybe it's a good idea not to be in contact with them. If they're not helping you and making your life worse, and I'm nearly 67 on the 1st of October, why am I putting up with this? So I would say with anything in life, if you cannot see that, as a sibling or a child or a partner, and I'm not advocating people just divorce, but, when it gets to this, if they've got no respect for you and they don't like you and are horrible to you and you've tried everything and they've left you, maybe go ahead and get a divorce. Do you have to give yourself a life sentence of pain because you made a mistake? We're all allowed a different start, a different chance with Jesus. We all do that. And obviously, of course, so as a Christian, and they thought that was funny and poo-pooed and laughed about that. Well, what happens when you have to meet God on the judgment day? Will you be laughing then? So, like I say, sometimes you just have to let it go, walk away, slam the door behind you. That's it. Start again. And I'll be doing that in under 2 weeks, which I'm very pleased about. Before, I would never have dared say this or make a video or anything. I mean, I've got sight loss, so the video making isn't very easy. But I've managed to do it, and I'm very pleased with that. I'm not asking for sympathy or pity. I'm just saying to you, if someone doesn't have respect and you can't see them as whatever relation they're meant to be, or whatever relationship, it's not always your fault. In fact, very little of it may be your fault. This is the same as the family situation in a church. I mean, when people say about church family, it sort of grates on me and gets my teeth because of the way I've been treated in my own family. But I'm getting over that now and I'm managing to cope with it. And if people in the church are a bit off with me, I will answer back and say, why are you saying that? What do you mean? And usually they're just, oh no, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean to upset you, because they know that you've caught on. I mean, because I have partial sight, it happens to everybody with partial or full sight, obviously, that they treat you as a bit simple, thinking you can't hear anything, don't know anything. We can still feel, we can still touch, we can still hear. We're not backward. In fact, you develop a lot more skills. You hear more in people's voice. You hear more of what they're actually saying. My mother was exactly the same. She was born partially sighted and eventually lost all sight at the age of 84. She was still at home, registered blind. She wasn't treated very well by certain people, I have to say. That's the way it is. It's in the past now. And like I say, family, what does it mean? What does it make you feel like? If it doesn't make you feel good, something's gone wrong. If you want to challenge the person, then go ahead. But sometimes it might be better to say, I think this is it, really, I'm done. And I'll leave you to yours and I'll get on with mine. Particularly if there's more of them and there's just you and there was just me and my mum and it's like they were ganging up on us. You're the simple head left with your mum. I'm not the simple head, love, at all. What I had to go through in my marriage, we won't go into it. It was 5 years. And it's made me the tough person I am now. I can't say that people don't hurt me anymore, but I learned a lot from it. I don't regret it because, it's made me me. I might not look back with it with great amusement or longing, but it's made me the person I am today. Some of us were quite clever. I wouldn't say it's fooling others. If you don't all say a lot, if you sort of watch and observe people, they don't realise that you've actually worked them out and can see through them. And when you say something and you're not the little wimpy person who does what they want, of course they will get nasty. What are you doing talking back to me? I remember once she phoned me at work and I was saying something and she, oh, you really told me off, she said on the phone. And I thought, well, How many times have you told me off in my life? You know, I didn't bite back. I was at work and she'd phoned me in the public. So, yeah. So don't think bad on yourself if family isn't a great word for you. If family in a church isn't a great word for you, don't think badly. It takes two to make a situation. In my case, I was never bold enough to answer back. But I am now, and it's changed. I've learnt. So God bless to those people in the same situation. You have my heartfelt, I wouldn't say sympathy, but feelings about it. Please like my videos, share and subscribe. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Bye now.